Today is August 21st. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous in the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we're going to continue our journey through Chapter 3, more about alcoholism. We're going to be reading page 41. And out of the 12 and 12, we are going to continue our journey through Step 6 by reading page 67. And of course, we'll read today's daily reflection in 24 hours a day. So with that, hope you all are doing well today. As you can probably tell from my voice, the last couple of days I've been battling some allergies, but nothing major at all. I actually feel really, really good. I just sound not so good. So I apologize in advance for my voice. But I hope you all are doing well this morning. Life is good over here. Just to be alive today is a blessing. And if we can be alive and present, like really alive, where the fog just kind of clears away and we can be present in this day that we've been given, then we're really living, you know? And I read this quote this morning and it just really stood out to me. It's actually a perfect description of what life in sobriety can be like. Sobriety is freedom. And it says here on this quote, deciding to focus on our own freedom isn't selfish. It is the greatest gift that we can give to humanity. That's just beautifully written and so true. By us being sober today and being free and being present and living in this moment, being the best people we can be for the people we love around us and for ourselves, that's one of the greatest gifts we can give to the world. So with that, let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So in the last day or two, we've learned about this guy named Fred. He did meet some of the people in the program, but he didn't figure he was as bad as everybody else. As a matter of fact, on page 40, he said, I reasoned I was not so far advanced as most of you fellows, that I had been usually successful in licking my other personal problems, and that I would therefore be successful where you men failed. I had every right to be self-confident. That it would only be a matter of exercising my willpower and keeping on guard. Well, so far, that's working for him. He's having a great old time. And the last line that we read yesterday, a little foreshadowing, it was the end of a perfect day, not a cloud on the horizon. So you had this great business meeting, great day. So page 41. I went to my hotel and leisurely dressed for dinner. As I crossed the threshold of the dining room, the thought came to my mind that it'd be nice to have a couple of cocktails with dinner. That was all, nothing more. I ordered a cocktail in my meal. Then I ordered another cocktail. After dinner, I decided to take a walk. When I returned to the hotel, it struck me that a highball would be fine before going to bed. So I stepped into the bar and had one. I remember having several more that night and plenty the next morning. I have a shadowy recollection of being in an airplane bound for New York, and of finding a friendly taxicab driver at the landing field instead of my wife. The driver escorted me about for several days. I know little of where I went, what I said, or what I did. Then came the hospital with unbearable mental and physical suffering. As soon as I regained my ability to think, I went carefully over that evening in Washington. Not only had I been off guard, I had made no fight whatever against the first drink. This time I had not thought of the consequences at all. I had commenced to drink as carelessly as though the cocktails were ginger ale. I now remember what my alcoholic friends had told me, how they prophesied that if I had an alcoholic mind, the time and place would come where I would drink again. They said that though I did raise a defense, it would one day give way before some trivial reason for having a drink. Well, just that did happen, and more. For what I had learned of alcoholism did not occur to me at all. I knew from that moment I had an alcoholic mind. I saw the willpower and self-knowledge would not help in those strange mental blank spots. I had never been able to understand a people who said that a problem had them hopelessly defeated I knew then, and it was a crushing blow. Moving on to the 12 and 12, we're on step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And in the last couple of pages, we've been talking about how, each one of these instincts that we were given when run to the extreme can be extremely destructive and unmanageable. And yesterday we talked about sex, and today we are talking about self-righteous anger and gluttony. So we're on page 67. Self-righteous anger can also be very enjoyable. In a perverse way, we can actually take satisfaction from the fact that many people annoy us, for it brings us a comfortable feeling of superiority. Gossip borrowed with our anger, a polite form of murder by character assassination, has its satisfactions for us too. Here we are, not trying to help those we criticize. We are trying to proclaim our own righteousness. When gluttony is less than ruinous, we have a milder word for that too. We call it taking our comfort. We live in a world riddled with envy. To a greater or less degree, everybody is infected with it. From this defect, we must surely get a warped yet definite satisfaction. Else, why would we consume such great amounts of time wishing for what we have not, rather than working for it, or angrily looking for attributes we shall never have, instead of adjusting to the fact and accepting it? And how often we work hard with no better motive than to be secure and slothful later on, only we call that retiring. Consider, too, our talents for procrastination, which is really sloth in 5 syllables. Nearly anyone could submit a good list of such defects as these, and few of us would seriously think of giving them up, at least until they cause us excessive misery. Daily Reflection, August 21st. We must try. My stability came out of trying to give, not out of demanding that I receive. The Best of Bill, pages 46 through 47. As long as I try, with all my heart and soul, to pass along to others what has been passed along to me, and do not demand anything in return, life is good to me. Before entering this program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I was never able to give without demanding something in return. Little did I know that, once I began to live freely of myself, I would begin to receive, without ever expecting or demanding anything at all. What I have received today is the gift of stability, as Bill did. Stability in my AA program, within myself, but most of all, in my relationship with my higher power, whom I choose to call God. "24 hours a day, August 21st. AA thought for the day. Who are you to say that there is no God? This challenge comes to all of us. Are we capable of denying that there is a design and purpose in all of life as we know it? Or are we willing to admit that faith in some kind of divine principle is a part of our own makeup, just as much as the feeling we have for a friend? We find a great reality deep down within us if we face ourselves as we really are. In the last analysis, it is only there that God may be found. When we find this reality within us, we are restored to our right minds. Have I found the great reality? Meditation for the day. Behold, I make all things new. When you change to a new way of life, you leave many things behind you. It is only an earth-bound spirit that cannot soar. Loosen somewhat the strands that tie you to earth. It is only the earthly desires that bind you. Your new freedom will depend upon your ability to rise above earthly things. Clipped wings can grow again. Broken wings can regain a strength and beauty unknown before. If you will, you can be released and free. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may be freed from things that hold me down. I pray that my spirit may soar in freedom. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading. Well, the 12 and 12, let's talk about gossip real quick. I won't speak for everybody, but if I were to take a gamble, I'd say that we've all done it at least once in our lifetimes, whether it was intentional or not. I know I have. And usually while I'm doing it, as I'm doing it, I know it's wrong. That little voice is going, dude, keep your mouth shut. Who are you to criticize that person behind their back? You got your own problems, dude. And that is the truth. I knew these things before even sobriety. But now that we're trying to work these steps and live a life of integrity, it really bothers me when I slip into that again. So I try my best to speak impeccably, to speak in a way that would be honest. And if I ever have an issue with somebody now, I try to go to them privately. Or, if I'm in a room full of people that are talking about somebody else, there's a couple things I try to do. I try to defend that person, or I change the subject, or I get out of Dodge. And if somebody tries to bring something up to me about somebody else, I try to apply those 3 things too. And you know what? Go figure. After a while, those people don't come around anymore to talk about people. They just don't come around anymore. Because truthfully, misery loves company. And anytime that I'm talking about somebody else, it's not even about that other person. It's about me. I'm trying to damage somebody else so that I will somehow feel better because I feel down. But if I'm feeling good, if I feel great and I feel free, why on earth would I want to tear somebody down? These are things that I've learned over time. I'm not perfect at them, but I'm trying. We practice these things. And speaking of practice, I love the daily reflections just to try. As long as I try with all my heart and soul to pass along to others what has been passed along to me and do not demand anything in return, life is good to me. With these 12 steps, we're trying every day. Never said we had to get it perfect. We're striving towards perfection. We'll never get there completely. And I'm grateful for that. That keeps me humble, right? There's always something to work on. But if anyone else is kind of goal-oriented like me, it's like, okay, here's what I really want to work on today. I want to become a little better at this today. God, please give me the strength to do this. And we see improvement in our lives. When I give freely of myself to help somebody else out with no expectation in return, I feel better. But sometimes when you send good out in the universe, something comes back, whether it's just this feeling of, it feels good to do the right thing. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is when we give freely with no desire to receive anything in return, it's one of the best feelings in the world. It sounds bizarre, it sounds ironic, but that's pretty much 90% of the program right there. Bizarre, ironic, and yet it works. I love sobriety. And if you are sober today, my friends, you're a miracle. I appreciate you putting up with me rambling today. As always, I don't speak on behalf of AA or NA or Al-Anon. I am just a fellow drunk. Just happy to be alive today. Happy to be sober and read these few books and have you all read them with me. If we're given another set of 24 hours, my friends, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.